Welcome to the Knowing Me podcast. I'm Joanne, and I love to help people rewrite their lives' narratives by revisiting their past and reshaping their today. I have always wanted to know why. Ever since I have been a kid, when I was told that I couldn't do something, I would get so frustrated when I would say, why? And my mother would say, because I told you so. I just have this, I don't know if you have that same struggle, just wanting to know why. And even as I came to know the Lord, I became a Christian, and there were things that He said in His Word that were different than what I had grown up with, different than what the world that I lived in. And I wanted to know why. I wanted to understand why I couldn't do it. Luckily, I obeyed because I obeyed. But there was still this lingering question in my mind. Why did God say this? Why did He put this limit? Why did He say, don't do this? And why did I have to abide by it? I don't know if you're that kind of person that asks why all the time, but I do, and I did. And then I was reading a book by Josh McDowell, and he helped me put it into perspective, to put it in a way that I could understand, and to begin to understand the why behind God's commandments, the why behind why God says don't do this or do this. And so I began to understand that when God asks us to not do something, or even to do something, it isn't just to get us to obey, or it isn't just to rob us of something. There's a principle behind everything He asks us to do. There's a principle behind fleeing from sexual immorality. There's a principle behind have time in the Word of God. There's a principle behind everything that He asks us to do. And the purpose of that commandment, the reason for the principle, is so that we can know the person of God. We can understand who He is and who He wants us to be. And in knowing Him, it makes it easier to obey His commandments. But so often we think that those limits are just being put for no reason at all, just to rob us of something. And yet I think it's so important that we understand that when God asks us to do something, whether it's a commandment of don't do this, or honor this, or spend time in the Word, or love Him, the whole purpose of that is to protect us from something and to provide for us something. For example, if we take the verse, run from sexual immorality, flee from sexual immorality, what is He doing? Number one, He's protecting us. He's protecting us from diseases that are transmitted sexually. He's protecting us from unwanted children or abortions. He's protecting us from fear in our relationships, comparison in our relationships. But what's He providing for us? He's providing for us relationships where children are wanted and loved and treasured. He's providing for us relationships where we can trust one another. He's showing us or providing for us relationships where we're not comparing ourselves to somebody before or thinking that somebody before was there. The joy of a sexual relationship that isn't compared to somebody else. It's new. It's something that this couple has. It's ours. It's not tinged or tainted by somebody else's memory or by something that happened to us. And the list is numerous. See, He has a purpose in all of this. When He asks us to be in His Word, when He asks us to love Him, what is the purpose? It's that we would come to know Him and understand our value and our dignity and our worth because of who He is. And so often we don't understand who we are because we don't spend time with Him. And so everything that God asks us to do or to not do, the reason is so that we might know Him. The reason is so that we can be becoming a better version of who we are right now. The reason is that He created us for intimacy. And that's what He longs to give us in our relationships. An intimacy that's pure and valuable and wholesome, lifelong and lasting, and an intimacy with Himself. To know how much we are valued and how much we are worth, and the dignity that He gives to each one and every one of us. So he doesn't put these limits, these boundaries, so that you and I will push at them and shove at them and go, why? He puts these boundaries so that when we look at them in the light of why he gave them, our only response can be, thank you. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for providing for me what I need. Thank you for being a God, a father, a friend who looks out for my well-being in every way. So I would ask you to consider why God is asking you to do what he's doing, and to see not just the boundary or the limit or the commandment, but to see the heart of God that is behind that, the heart of the Father who longs to give us the best, who longs to protect us from the worst, and who longs to embrace us in his love for the praise of his glory and for our good. So ask your why, but ask it of him. Look for the answer in him. That's where you'll find your joy. That's where you'll find what your soul is longing for. That's where you will find your place of rest. May you live in that place of rest today and every day. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you next time.